Step by step, how I write my proposals as a copywriter. It's less complicated than you think. Hey you, I'm Sarah Turner. I'm a freelance copywriter, copywriting mentor, and proposals are something that crack me up a little bit because I get asked about them a ton, and I really think that people think there's some magical answer out there. And it is so much more simple than you probably guess. So I'm going to show you exactly how I create my proposals when I start with a new client. So first things first, I set up a call with them because I found that's the fastest way to build rapport, to get a ton of information from them, and it's really helpful because I can hear their tone and things like that, and that helps me gain insight into how I can personally help them. In this call, my goal is truly to figure out how I can best help them. So I ask them all sorts of questions around their goals, around the things that are bothering them, the things they need help with, things that have worked in the past, things that have totally failed in the past. Sometimes those are really helpful to know about. Anything that can help me help them, because that's truly what I believe my job as a copywriter is. Once I know their goals, I'm sure to ask them about any pieces of funnels that they might have already set up in their business or things that they've considered doing and why. I always give them ideas on the phone, but I also like to tell them that I'm going to brainstorm some ideas and come up with a proposal that includes the best case scenario. I also make sure that I ask them about their budget so that I'm not recommending something that's wildly out of reach. However, I will always recommend something that's a little bit above their budget. So what I do is I usually propose what is an ideal scenario for them based on our conversation. I always start my proposal email, which my proposals are generally just an email or a Google Doc, but I always start them with a few points from our call to make sure that they really feel heard, because I have found that to be far more successful than just jumping right into my proposal. I always show that I've listened to what they've said, touching on their pain points and their desires, and making sure that they really think that I have a good grasp on what our conversation was about and on how I can help them. So after I start with a personal greeting that really shows that I listened to what they had to say and that I'm incorporating it into my proposal, I will then say, here is my proposal. So it's very clear that that's what's coming next. This is exactly how I structure it. Next, I make sure that I say this is the best case scenario, and we can always implement things in phases according to what works best for you. I always remind them that it's a conversation and that this is just a starting point. Then I move into the ideal scenario, and I always say, this is an ideal scenario for getting to your goals as quickly as possible. And maybe that includes creating some opt-ins so we can start growing their email list. Maybe it includes a welcome email sequence so that we can really welcome and nurture the people who are coming to the website. Maybe it includes an SEO optimized website that is collecting leads because they haven't taken the time to do that or they didn't know any better. Maybe it's a blog strategy that's actually written in the form of copy so that their blogs are not a waste of time and they're actually bringing in traffic to their website, maybe growing their affiliate sales, and also can include opt-ins for growing their email list. Whatever it is that I decide is best for them, because it truly is case by case dependent, I put it in a line item list, and then I have the total at the bottom. If I want to introduce the idea of a monthly retainer, meaning ongoing work, I will then introduce something that I think would work for them each month and say, if this works out and we continue to want to go this direction, here's what I would recommend as a monthly retainer moving forward after this initial batch of work. Because a lot of times when I work with clients, the initial work we do together are covering some of our bases that may have been missed. For example, optimizing their website. That could be something that we do, but that's a one-time thing. So I would say, after we take care of this, then we can move into a monthly retainer, which would look like this. Then I start talking about my processes so that they know exactly what to expect. For example, I often tell clients that they need to put a deposit down to hold their deadline. And I'll say, I can get started on this date, and I will, the turnaround time will be, 2 weeks from now. If you pay the deposit by this date. Keep in mind, I always tell them, deposits are what hold your deadline. And so if you wait to pay a deposit, for example, I will let you know at that point when your deadline is. And that's really helped me put the ball in their court so that they are incentivized to go ahead and put that deposit down. I'll also let them know what they can expect as far as turnaround times and communication. I also will include a contract for them to just go ahead and sign. And I will make sure they know that in order to get started, if you pay a deposit and sign this contract, you're good to go. That's all you need to do. I also always wrap up the proposal by touching on the value that these projects are going to bring them, reminding them why it is they want to work with me. Again, this doesn't need to be too salesy. You've hopefully gone over it on your call, but it does help to remind them why it's such a good idea to work with you. I always like to wrap up by saying something along the lines of it being a conversation, and that even though maybe there are word counts or, limitations or guidelines, that ultimately at the end of the day, I like to make sure my clients are over the moon happy with the work that they do with me. And that is kind of what I'm known for among my clients. And so I'm really excited to provide them with that level of service and to go ahead and get started. So sometimes I like to wrap up with a little bonus at the end to kind of just give them some additional value. This could be recommendations that you have in the future, but obviously including that you're not trying to overwhelm them. You've just got a really great strategy in mind that you know is really going to work. Anything you can do to kind of emphasize the value that you bring without seeming too salesy or too needy is really the name of the game here. So I hope that helps. I hope that took the mystery out of creating a proposal. It can be fancy and some sort of project management system. It can also be very simple in a Google Doc. It really does not determine or make or break your success as a copywriter, I promise. So I hope that helps. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button if it did. I have been digging into some of the more technical elements within being a copywriter and what the day-to-day looks like. And so I love to hear from you guys through those likes and through the comments if it was helpful for you. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. It's super important for growing my YouTube business, so it really means a lot to me when you do. Thank you. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.